So now moving on to the second part of the same question, which is the error in the division of two quantities. I'm going to take the delta A and delta B value as the absolute errors of quantities A and B, and the error in the final quantity or the quantity Z is delta Z. And I'm going to take Z is equal to A by B, where I'm going to substitute the values of A and values of B. So the measured value of A is obviously A plus delta A, and the measured value of B is equal to B plus or minus delta B. Now I'm going to substitute. I'm going to take this equation as equation number 1, and this as equation number 2, and this as equation number 3. Substituting. Equation 2 and 3 in equation 1. Therefore, my equation 1 will become as follows. So in the place of Z, I'm going to substitute A by B, and in the place of A, I'm going to substitute A plus or minus delta A by B plus or minus delta B. So this will be my starting step. The next following steps will become, I'm going to draw a line so that I can divide the board into two halves. Now I'm going to take A common in the numerator, and I'm going to take B common in the denominator. So first let me take A common in the numerator. Z is equal to, if I take A common, then the quantities inside the bracket will become 1 plus or minus delta A by A. Why am I dividing delta A by A? Because if I take A common out in the numerator, I don't have any A term in the delta A. So if I take A common out of the two terms, then the first term will become 1, and the second term will be divided by the value that you are taking out of the bracket. Now again, if you multiply A inside with these two terms, you will get A into 1 is A. A into delta A by A is delta A, where A and A will get cancelled, and you will get the same result as in the numerator. Now doing the same for the denominator, I'm going to take B common, where I will get 1 plus or minus delta B by B. Now what I'm going to do is, I'm going to write the A by B as same, A by B. I'm going to write this 1 plus or minus delta A as it is. 1 plus or minus delta A by A. Sorry, delta A by A. Now, this 1 plus or minus delta B by B in the denominator, I'm going to bring it to the numerator. Now, the power of this term is 1. If I bring this 1 plus or minus delta B by B, the whole power 1 term, to the numerator, the power 1 will become power minus 1. Therefore, I'll write 1 plus or minus delta B by B, the whole power minus 1. Now, I have a binomial formula where we have 1 plus x, the whole power n, is equal to 1 plus nx, where when this is possible when the x value is far less than 1. Now I'm going to modify this formula in respect to this step. Here I have the value n as minus 1. So when I have a negative value 1 plus x the whole power minus n value is equal to 1 minus nx when x is far less than 1. So using this step, I'm going to simplify the before step. So I'll be writing this step as z is equal to a by b into 1 plus or minus delta a by a into 1. What was my formula? 1 minus nx. So here my n is n is 1, and since I have minus n, here my n value is 1, and I have a minus symbol for the n. Therefore, I'm going to bring this minus n value in the as the coefficient of x, where this will become 1 minus nx. So here I'll write it as 1 plus or minus. When you multiply minus with delta b by b, what will happen? You have plus or minus into minus. So you are going to multiply this both a symbol with minus. If you multiply plus and minus, you will get minus. When you multiply minus into minus, you will get plus. So the plus or minus symbol will be reciprocated. So therefore, I will be writing in the reverse form, which will be a by b into 1 plus or minus delta a by a into 1 minus plus delta b by b. Now I know in all the derivation of this propagation of errors, we saw that z is equal to z plus or minus delta z. This is the measured value of z quantity. So therefore, in the place of z, I'm going to substitute this value. So which will become z plus or minus delta z is equal to a by b into 1 plus or minus delta a by a into 1 minus plus delta b by b. So now I'm going to divide both the sides by z as we did for the first topic, which is propagation of error in the product. I'm going to divide both the sides by z. If I divide both the sides by z, I'm going to take z by z plus or minus delta z by z, because I have a sign between two terms, so that I can divide the division in two halves. So z by z plus or minus delta by z, if this will be like this, now I can divide the z for two terms. So therefore z by z plus or minus delta z by z is equal to a by zb into 1 plus or minus delta a by a into 1 minus plus delta b by b. Now continuing this step, this here the z value will get cancelled because z by z will become 1, and now I need to solve this a by z delta b. So this will become as it is. So plus or minus, the step will start as plus or minus delta z by z is equal to a by b. You have z, right? You have z here as the product with b. So now you know z is equal to a by b, right? So when you write z here, you will replace the z with a by b, right? A by b. Now when you write a by b here, the denominator of the denominator goes to the numerator. So here we can substitute as a by ba by b. It will be like this, right? Now I can bring this b to the numerator, where you will have a into b by ba, where both these terms will get cancelled and will result in 1. So therefore, in the place of this term, I can replace it with 1, because denominator of the denominator, which is b, goes to the numerator, resulting in the cancellation of both the numerator and the denominator, resulting in 1. So in the place of a by zb, I can write 1 into, now I'm going to multiply both these terms. When I multiply 1 into 1, what do I get? Obviously 1. When I multiply plus or minus delta a with delta a by a with 1, what do I get? Obviously same answer, which is plus or minus delta a by a. Now when I multiply 1 into minus plus delta b by b, what do I get? Minus plus delta b by b. When I multiply plus or minus delta a by a into plus or minus plus delta b by b, obviously I get the same, plus or minus delta a by a into delta b by b. This will be my resultant expression. Then I'm going to simplify this. As we saw in the product of two quantities, that I can neglect the value of delta a by a and delta b by b. So before neglecting that, I'll write this in a simple and easy format, which will be 1 plus or minus delta a by a minus plus delta B by B plus or minus delta A by A into delta B by B. So now we can neglect this whole term. We can neglect this whole delta A by A and delta B by B term because they are always small, as we saw in the previous topic. Now I can rewrite this as here the 1 and 1 will get cancelled, and now I can take the plus or minus symbol common, which will be left with plus or minus delta Z by plus or minus delta Z by Z is equal to plus or minus taken common delta A by A plus delta B by B. Since I am neglecting this, I'll be left with this equation where this plus or minus will vanish, leaving you with delta Z is by Z is equal to delta A by A plus delta B by B. So how can I define my final expression of the error in division of two quantities? The maximum possible error in the division of two quantities is equal to the sum of the fractional errors in the individual quantities. So it is the same definition that as I gave for the errors in the product of two quantities. So with this, we have completed whole propagation of error in sum, difference and product and division of two quantities. In the next video, we'll move on to the next 5 mark of this chapter.